Assalamu alaikum. It's fantastic to be back and see a lot of familiar faces that greeted me this morning. So before I begin today, after this wonderful introduction, who here knows what air traffic control is? I'll really need to see you show your hands because it's quite dark. Okay, not a lot of hands. Next question, who here knows and has seen Spider-Man? More hands, I knew it. Okay, so everybody knows Spider-Man's best friend, Ned. He calls himself the guy in the chair. He watches over Spider-Man on his computer screen, and he speaks to him through a headset, telling him where it's safe to go to keep him safe from the bad guys. As for air traffic control, unfortunately, I don't speak to Spider-Man or any superheroes. I speak to pilots instead. I provide them with instructions by watching over them on a radar screen, and I speak to them through a frequency on a headset as well, providing them with instructions to keep them safe from other aircrafts as well as obstructions. By obstructions, I mean the beautiful Burj Khalifa we have, the mountains we have up north, the list goes on. So now that you all know a little bit about what it is that I do day to day, let me take you on a journey on how I got to where I am today, speaking to pilots instead of superheroes. My story is about how I overcame bullying, uncertainty, self-doubt, and how I made it in a man's world. Chapter 1. I had a work ethic instilled in me from an extremely young age. I was so young that when people asked me what it was I was doing in my mother's veterinary practice, I would very proudly say that I am mama's assistant, exactly like this. I was so young I couldn't even pronounce assistant properly yet. Back then, my job was to give my mother's pets that had come in to visit her all the love and cuddles. And as I continued to grow older, my responsibilities grew with me. I started answering phone calls, scheduling appointments, and I even scrubbed in on a few surgeries. I absolutely loved working with my mother. It was a safe haven and a sanctuary for me to go to work with her on the weekends. It was therapeutic even. And the reason for that is because when I was in school, I was relentlessly bullied. I was bullied because of the texture of my hair, the color of my skin, my perfect command of the English language, my inability to clearly communicate in Arabic, being proud of being mixed race, half Emirati, half Tanzanian, and proudly broadcasting that mix. I was bullied for being me. I had to change schools 3 times because the bullying got that bad. And I remember towards the end of my time in school number 2, I made the decision, enough is enough. So I stood up against my bullies, physically and verbally, and I ended up getting detention for it. I got into trouble with the school, and I remember in that hour of detention, I took a moment to reflect and I realized that I will no longer be bullied and I will stand up for myself and use my voice. It was the start of a new chapter. Chapter 2. I had over 1,000 ballet classes done from the ages of 4 until 18. In that time, the comments made to me were, stand taller, Jouhayna. Suck your belly button all the way to your spine, Jouhayna. Tuck your bum in, Jouhayna. Now, I am half Arab and half African. That is almost nearly physically impossible. I had over 2,500 days in school, where for one portion of it, I was considered to be extremely quiet and reserved because I got bullied. And I was quite skinny as well because part of the bullying ritual, I had the food thrown into the ground during recess and I would be forced to skip lunch. For the other half, when I made the decision, that's it, I'm going to start using my voice and stand up for myself, everyone told me I was far too loud and outspoken. And when puberty kicked in, I started to put on weight, and my hair on my head grew out very long and luscious, but so did my mustache. All these different comments made to me throughout my life during my formative years planted seeds that blossomed into uncertainty and self-doubt. I remember during the end of my high school career, I ended up feeling extremely lost about what my next step was going to be. I remember telling adults different professions so I could see how they reacted, and if they were that excited about me doing that, it must be good for me, right? Lawyer, doctor, engineer, pilot, the list goes on. You name it, I said it. So I had a very difficult conversation I had to have with my mother towards the end of high school. I asked her if it's okay for me not to go to university. She obviously retaliated, but she asked me if I had a plan. And I said, I don't exactly know what trajectory I'm going to go in, but I do want to help contribute towards the finances of our home. I was blessed to be raised in an all-girl household where my mother was the sole financial provider. And I asked her if I could continue to work with her, but full-time, and help contribute towards our finances to pay off for our home as well as my 2 younger sisters' education. She agreed, and naturally the next question she asked me was, would you like to take over the family business? I took my time to respond, and deep down I knew that actually isn't for me. So I'm very grateful to say that my mother chose to respect my wishes, and she let me do the soul searching that I needed to do. And about a year in, I could see online on Instagram and Facebook that all my friends had finished their first year of university. And I was stuck in the same place. I was still lost. I still didn't progress. So I made the decision to dig a little deeper. And I realized what I wanted to feel was independence. So what I did is I applied to every scholarship program that I could find. Being a Marathi, their programs we're very blessed to have, where they pay you while they train you, and afterwards you're guaranteed a job at the end. However, they're extremely competitive to get into. 562 days into my gap year, not that anybody was counting, was the first day of the rest of my life when I got accepted to become an air traffic control trainee. Chapter 3. Worldwide, the acceptance rate for air traffic control applicants to successfully make it into the program is 1%. For women, it averages it down to 0.2% worldwide. Regionally, I suspect it is much lower. After 2.5 years of sheer hard work and dedication, I ended up becoming the youngest Emirati female and the second Emirati female to successfully complete the air traffic control training program in an area control center in the United Arab Emirates. Now, various comments were made to me throughout my training and in my career that's approximately been a decade now. And this time, the life lesson that I learned up until that point is you reap what you sow. So I made sure that the seeds that were planted that I specifically nurtured and nourished were the ones that would blossom into me becoming the very best version of myself. Now, almost a decade later, not only am I an air traffic control officer, but I'm also an on-the-job training instructor where I'm training the next generation of air traffic controllers to keep the skies of my country safe. I decided to go back to university because now I found my passion and my goals. And I did my bachelor's degree in air transport management, which enables me to run an airline, airport, and an air traffic control unit. All I needed was a little bit of focus and some guidance on what it is that I wanted to do. And so I want everyone to take a moment with me right now and think about what your next step is. It could be anything. And is there a little part of you that's unsure about what exactly you should do? And my parting words to you are this: if I can do it, you can do it. Thank you.